Hello everyone, Donna Gray here from Stamping Up Australia from the Northern Rivers area in New South Wales. I tried to do a live video today, a beginner card making class, and I did a live video on YouTube and it was pretty average, the quality of it. It must have been due to my internet connection. So what I thought I would do is record a video for you tonight, and running over the basics of what I did in my live video on Facebook, and I will post this on Facebook so you can actually watch it back and watch it hopefully nice and clear compared to what it was. Okay, so what I've decided to do is I've decided to do a basic course of card making right from the very beginning, explaining what tools we need in our basic card supplies to start making cards. And I wanted to teach, I've had a lot of people asking me, can you please teach us from the beginning, you know, how to cut the card base sizes, how to work out how to do layers, what type of tools we need to use, what type of glues we use, how do we layer things up. More or less, if you decided that you wanted to start from scratch and actually do card making, this is the video for you. I'm going to do a series of probably about 10 videos. So going from the beginning, so this is lesson 1, going from the beginning, basics, getting your supplies, what you need to get yourself started, and then gradually we'll go through different levels and different stages of card making and get you up to scratch with lots of different techniques and things. Now, I've been card making for probably about 6 years now. And I'm totally self-taught. I started out thinking I wanted to make cards, not quite sure. I actually had my mother and father's 50th wedding anniversary, and I was really devastated to think that a huge, massive event in someone's life in our area, we come from a small country town, and in our area, in all of the newsagents, everywhere, there was 2 cards to choose from, and that was it for a massive achievement, making 50 years of marriage together. So I was quite disappointed, and they had a huge party and get together, and at their party all of the cards were all similar cards for the simple fact that there was nothing, they were just generic cards that were made by the hundreds. And so I sort of started off just making cards for special occasions like 50th birthdays, 60th birthdays, wedding anniversaries, 25th wedding anniversaries, 50th wedding anniversaries, things like that. And that is where I started from. So I've been, as I said, card making now for about 6 years, and I didn't know anything when I first started. I started from scratch. I learned a lot of things off YouTube. YouTube is probably one of your best friends when it comes to learning anything. So hence why I now have a YouTube channel, and I share everything I learn and everything I know as much as I possibly can. So if you're watching this on my YouTube channel for the first time, please subscribe. That way you don't miss any videos that I post. You get an email saying that I've posted another video, so you won't miss out on any of the videos that I do. And if you're watching this on my business page on Facebook, my Stamping Up Demonstrator business page, please like my business page and turn on the notifications, and feel free to share this video, even on YouTube. Share this video with your friends and get the messages out there, because I'm sure there'd be a lot of people that would be wanting to know from scratch how to start card making. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is turn you around, and hopefully this is going to work, because this is the first time I've used this new phone doing this. So, okay. Work that out. Okay, now is everything upside down? No, it's all good. Nope, all good. Okay, so hopefully that's all in view. Okay, so this is the Stamping Up new catalogue, annual catalogue. And in this video, I will show you some basic things, and I'll show you some basic kits that are available. I'll just pop a little bit of light on the subject there. That's probably a bit better, so we can see a bit better. Okay, so I just wanted to show you some basic tools to start off with. Now, I sell everything that I'm showing in this video. I sell in my online store. So if there's anything that you're interested in, anything that you wanted to purchase, feel free to jump on my online store. I'll put the link below this video so you can jump on and purchase any items that you need. First thing you need is some basics. Really, you need some adhesive. There's lots of different adhesives. You need a good pair of paper snips. Stampin' Up have paper snips. These retail at $17 a pair, and I've had these. I've been with Stampin' Up now for 12 months. I've had these for 12 months, and they are probably one of the best pair of scissors I think I've ever owned. I've cut ribbon with them, I've cut paper with them, cardboard, lots of different things, and they stay nice and sharp. They have a lovely guard on them to protect the tips, and when you put them away, a lot of people, I don't, but a lot of people pop them in their handbag and stuff in case they need scissors for things because they've got the guard on them. So a good pair of paper snips is one good thing. A bone folder is another thing, and I'll show you when it comes to making our creases on our cards and things why we need the bone folder. Okay, glue, as I said, there's several different types of glue. Tombow is probably my favourite go-to glue. The reason that I use Tombow is it allows me, when I'm putting layers on my cards, it allows me a bit of time to layer my layer on the card and wiggle it around a little bit to get it nice and even and make sure it's sitting nice and straight on my card base. So you can get that with liquid glue. With things like fast fuse and snail adhesive, these are tape runner glues. So you run it along your cardstock and it runs a line of glue. Snail does the same thing. Fast fuse is for a firm hold, so anything that you want to hold really, really well. Snail adhesive is for general card making, doing up your layers and things. The only problem is with these two types of glues, you have to be very good at lining up and placing your layer the first go, because once you stick it down, especially with fast fuse, very hard to get back up. Sometimes you can pull it back up, ease it back up with the snail adhesive. Hence why I use the Tombow. I wasn't a fan of it when I first joined Stampin' Up, but now I absolutely love it. It's the go-to glue that I use. So there's also other types of glue. There's Terran tape. If I can find that, sorry, in my drawer. There's a small amount. This is double-sided tape. It has a backing sheet on it. You put it on your cardstock and pull the backing sheet off, and then it reveals the other sticky side, and then you stick your layer down. That's another thing, very similar to these. Probably a much more economical way of doing card making because it goes a lot longer, a lot further. But that's a few different types of things. You also can get Stampin' Up dimensionals. Now dimensionals, I'm not sure whether you can see that in the video, but they're like foam little pads. So what they actually do is they pop up the layer on your card. So in this card here, I've actually used dimensionals, and you can see that there is some space underneath the round circle, underneath the happy birthday sentiment. That just makes it pop up off the card. A simple thing like that adds a lot of detail and a bit more dimension to your card and gives it a better look. This one here, I haven't used dimensionals, but I've used a lot of layers to still create a popping and wowing effect with the card. But as you'll see, and I'll explain to you how I do all these layers. If you can see the black layer, the lemon lime twist layer, and the berry burst layer underneath. So I'll explain to you how I measure all those layers in this basic tutorial. So in this tutorial today, I'm just going to explain how we cut our card bases and how we cut our layers to pop on. And the other thing I wanted to explain to you is the difference in our stamps. So I'll pop those things aside and I'll pop out some stamp sets. This one here. Okay. This one here is what we call these are actually what in our catalogue they're called clear mount. Now the reason they're called clear mount is we have clear blocks, acrylic blocks like so, and these have like a spongy rubbery back on them, and what happens is you pop them onto your acrylic block and they cling onto your block. Okay, so they don't come off, they cling onto your block, then you ink your stamp up and stamp it down on your card. Now these red rubber stamps come in what they call clear mount or wood mount. Now wood mount, you get the exact same red rubber stamps, you just get wooden, instead of using the clear acrylic, you get wooden blocks that you actually permanently stick your stamps onto. So my idea is it's more versatile to be using your acrylic clear blocks with these stamps because you have one set of blocks and you use it for all your stamps. Where the wood mount, once you've mounted them onto the wood, which I'll show you a wood mount one. Once you've mounted your stamps onto the wood, that's where they stay. So this is same red rubber stamp, just on a wood mount block, okay, instead of the clear. So the wood replaces that clear acrylic block. But as I said, these are a fraction of the price, and you can reuse your acrylic blocks and reuse your acrylic blocks over and over again. Okay, the other type of stamps, so they're what we call our clear mount, and you can either get them, the red stamps, which are called clear mount, you can either get them without the wood or with the wood. Or then we have, this is a brand new stamp set. This is in our holiday catalogue. It's not available at the moment. It is available to us as demonstrators, but it will come available on the 1st of September. So it's actually a beautiful hand-painted type of stamp set, which is quite nice. Okay, this is what we call our clear polymer stamps. And as you can see, they're very clear. They cling, I've used this, so yes, they do stain, but they cling to our acrylic blocks, and you can actually see through the acrylic block to where you're stamping. So these are probably the most popular these days. But to use the clear mount stamps, because they have no foam spongy back, they still cling onto our blocks really well. But what we use, and if I can find mine, which I don't know what's happened to mine at the moment, we use what we call a foam stamping pad. And I'm sorry, but mine has, oh, here it is. This is our Stampin' Up piecing mat. Okay, so what we normally do is we place our cardstock. So we have a piece of cardstock. Place our cardstock on our clear, on our foam pad. Ink up our stamp and stamp down and stamp up. This foam pad does the job of the foam spongy rubber bit on the back of our clear mount stamps. So because you don't have that give, you get a much better image if you stamp on a foam mat. So this is just what Stampin' Up call their piecing mat. They have a piecing tool that you can pierce holes and stuff in cardstock, but I use it as a foam backing to stamp behind my cards. So that just explains the difference. So we have clear stamps, clear mount stamps, which are our red rubber stamps with the foam backing, and we have photopolymer stamps, which are our clear see-through stamps that we have to use a foam pad with. So that's just a few basics of explaining what stamps are what. And the difference, honestly, they all stamp and they all give you beautiful images. You just have to know the right thing to do with what type of stamp. So if I'm going to use a clear polymer stamp, I definitely use my piecing mat underneath. If I'm using the red rubber ones, I can stamp straight down onto my cardstock on my table. Sometimes even with the foam rubber ones, you can still use your piecing mat to stamp down to give you a better image. Okay, so in my next video, we'll go more into stamping and how to get a really good clean image. In this video, I just wanted to show you the basics of how to cut a piece of cardstock. Okay, so we have our paper trimmer, and I'm sorry, I'm very limited because of the way I've got my phone set up tonight. I'm very limited to how much room I have on here, so I'm hoping that you can see this quite clearly in the view. Okay, so this is what I use to cut my cardstock. It has a little arm that comes out that allows us to cut 12 by 12 inch cardstock. I'm just going to grab a piece of cardstock to explain to you how I cut and work out my card layers. Now, the main thing that you've got to keep in mind is what size envelope you'll be having. So in other words, if I have this as my envelope and I measure my envelope and it measures 4.5 inches by 6.5 inches. Okay, so I need to know that when my card is folded up, like so, it's going to fit into my envelope. Okay, so this is how we work out how to cut our card bases, because there's nothing worse than cutting a card base and then finding out that when you go to put it in an envelope, it doesn't fit in the envelope. Then you've got to try and make an envelope, which Stampin' Up have that covered as well, because we have an envelope punch board that we can make any size envelope that we want. We will cover that in some more series as we go along. So my main idea is I work out what size envelope I'm going to put my card in, and I work out my card base size from that. So what you've got to imagine is if your card is opening portrait style, okay, like so, it's going to go in our envelope like so. So you have to imagine that we have this size card, but it also has to open up, so it has to be double that size, okay, to fold and open up like a card does, okay, like so. So to find out that measurement, what we do is we find out this measurement here and make sure it's smaller than our envelope. And we also find out the measurement across here and make sure it's smaller than our envelope, but we double that measurement to go across to make it fit into our envelope. Okay, so with our basic cardstock, our cardstock comes in, it's 8 1/4 inches on the short side, and it's 11 3/4 inches on the long side. So what I've found is out of one piece of cardstock, I can get 2 card bases, and this is where you have to be very vigilant in how you're doing your card making if you're going to turn around and sell cards, because you have to try and get the most out of your cardstock as you can. So what we do is I've decided that I want to have 2 cards. Now, depending on whether I want my card to be portrait style or horizontal or landscape style, it just depends how I turn the card. The way I cut this card is no different in the fact I can turn this either way to get the way my card sits. Okay, so what I've worked out is I cut an A4 piece of cardstock in half, and I've worked out that half of my 11 3/4 inches is 5 7/8 is half of this card cut in half. Now, how we work this out is we have a line here that on our cutter, we have a scoring blade, which is the light grey blade, and we have a cutting blade, which is the dark grey, and they run in a groove in our cutting, in our paper cutter. So what we do is from that groove, that is going to, whatever we measure out here is going to be how wide or how long of a piece of cardstock we're going to do. So because I need the card base to be 5 7/8, what I do is I get the edge of this cardstock and I bring it out to, as you can see, we've got inch measurements all the way along the top here. So I bring it out to 5 inches, I bring it out to 5 7/8, which is nearly 6 inches. I line it up with that little stroke. Hopefully that's in the camera view. I line it up in with that 5 7/8 stroke, and I make sure that I have it square all the way around. Okay, so then I flick over my ruler guide here, and with my blade I just put a little bit of pressure on it, and as you can see, not a lot, and just drag it down through and hence we've got our card cut in half. Now, depending on how we're going to fold it, as I said, is the way we turn it. Now I turn it around the other way because I need to score a line to be able to fold it in half. Okay, so it's 8 1/4 along here because that was the short side of our cardstock. So 8 1/4, half of 8 1/4 is 4 1/8. Okay, so I'm going to use my grey one now and I'm going to put a score line. Okay, now it probably will be really hard in this light to see, but that has put like a dent in our cardstock, and what it's done, it's created like a valley because the actual scoring tool has gone down into our cardstock. It's pushed our cardstock down and it's made like a gutter type of thing. So the reason that we do the scoring to score our cardstock is to be able to fold it and fold it nicely. So I'll just pop this out of the way. So what we do is, because we still have that gutter and we still have that valley, if you turn it over the other side, it's like a hill. It's raised up and like a mound. So we don't want to fold it that side. We want to turn it with our gutter, with our groove going down into the card, and we want to fold against that gutter. Okay, so, and we fold like so. So because it's created a fold, and then with our bone folder, you just run the bone folder with a little bit of pressure along your card. And there you are, you have a fold. Nice and easy, nice and quick. You can do the same thing without scoring. You can pop your two corners together, like so. Line it up, nice and straight. And then just run your bone folder along. But beware, this is beautiful Stampin' Up cardstock, and you are able to do that. Some cardstocks will wrinkle and crinkle and tear and crack along that fold. Hence why most people will score first and use the bone folder after. But Stampin' Up cardstock, I can guarantee you will be able to get a nice fold like that just by folding it in half and using your bone folder. Okay, so hence we can have a landscape card, or which opens this way, or we can have a portrait card which opens this way. Okay, so that was with one bit of cardstock. That's one size that we can do. We can also cut the cardstock a different way, which I'll just grab another piece of cardstock. I'll bring the cutter back in again. Okay, so last time we cut it this way. This time we can cut it this way, and I'll show you some different card sizes that we're going to get by cutting it this way. So we know that the short side of our A4 cardstock is 8 1/4 inches. So half of 8 1/4 inches is 4 1/8. So if we take our cardstock to 4 1/8, that will cut this cardstock in two pieces. Okay, so we've lined it up with the 4 1/8. We've got it square all the way around, and I just use my cutting tool again. Okay, same thing. We could score this in the middle if we wanted. It's 5 7/8 to score it in the middle if we want to score it in the middle. I'm just going to fold it, as I've showed you before, because I love showing people how this cardstock folds beautifully without scoring at all. Okay, so I've got my corners together. I bring my bone folder in, crease it along with my bone folder, and we now have a card that can open this way or this way. Okay, so that is just two basic, I'll fold the other one very quickly, two basic ways of using our cardstock as a base to get different shaped cards. Okay, so we have the tall, long portrait style. We have the wide horizontal style. Or from our first cut that we did, we have the horizontal style this way, or the portrait style this way. Okay, so that's 2 ways of cutting your base layer. Now, one thing that I do is I actually do my base layers. I cut all my layers, and I have all different coloured cardstock, and I have a chest of drawers, and I have them all pre-cut. So when I go to make a card, I can go, okay, I want to use this as my card base. I want to use this as my first layer. I want to use this color as my second layer. And that's actually how I make my cards. So it makes life a little bit easier. If you've got to get out the cutter every time you go to make a card, it takes longer to make cards. So one of those hints, and I can tell you, for 4 or 5 years, I was getting out the cutter every time I wanted to make a card. Now I actually have everything pre-done, that I can just grab them out of my drawers and go, okay, I'm going to make a card. So the main thing is trying to keep up with all the layers that I need, but anyway, and keep them cut. So, okay, so what I thought I would do now is actually show you how I layer up my layers, which I'll use this one. Okay. Now, what I normally do is, I'll fold one of these in half. Okay, so this is our beautiful lemon lime twist cardstock. Now I've cut this cardstock at 5 7/8 of an inch, which is 5 7/8 this way, and I've cut it at it's 8 1/4. So it was a full piece of cardstock, so I would have had another half here. Okay, so that's my basic card size that I always use. So I've folded that in half, creased that in half, and if you fold your cardstock and it's not quite straight, you can go back over it with the bone folder and recrease it again, and you'll find that it will make it nice and straight. Okay, so that's my first layer. Now my second layer I've cut at 4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. I'll pop this one on. Now, it's 4 inches across here, 5 3/4 inches here. So when I layer that onto my top of my card, as you can see, I have a tiny, tiny little border all the way around. You can just see the lemon lime twist peeking through. Now, I actually prefer my cards to be like that, as you can see in this one. You just see the berry burst peeking through, then you can just see my basic black peeking through, and then the lemon lime twist is the big layer on the front that you can see quite a lot of. Now, personal choice how you want to do that. I actually can show you with another layer. So I will put the measurements in the description, or I'll do a blog post and you can actually go to my blog and check it out. Just the exact measurements, how I do it, because it took me a long time to work out these measurements so that everything layers up really nice, and now I just cut all my cardstock at this size. So we had, as I said, I'll just refresh that again. Our base was cut at 8 1/4 inches, along this side, and 5 7/8 of an inch along that side. So I put it in my cutter, cut it in half. Okay, now my first layer was cut at 5 3/4 inches across here and 4 inches across here. So that gives me a tiny, tiny little border. If you wanted more of a border, you could use what I use for my third layer, but you could use it as your second layer. So this piece, now I don't want to confuse you, this piece is cut at 3 7/8 of an inch by 5 5/8 of an inch. Now, as you can see how we've got a bigger border. This cardstock, this layer, is cut at 1/4 of an inch smaller than what my base card front is. So what you do is, if you keep this golden rule that whatever your card base is, that is how you work your layers out. If you want a bigger layer showing, like a bigger border showing around, you cut it at 1/4 of an inch smaller on each side. So in other words, it was 1/4 inch smaller than my side across here, which gave me 4 inches. And it was 1/4 inch smaller than this side, so it was actually 6 inches this side. So now I've taken it back to 5 3/4 inches this way. So that gives me 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. If I wanted 1/4 inch border all the way around, I would cut each side, the two sides, 1/2 inch smaller. So this one's cut at 1/4 inch smaller. If I wanted a bigger amount again, I would cut this one at 3 3/4 inch, and this one at 5 5.5 inches. So what you do is you just take off a minute amount. But it halves it. If you take off 1/4 inch, you get 1/8 inch at the top and 1/8 inch down the bottom. If you cut off 1/4 inch down the sides, you get 1/8 inch showing this side and 1/8 inch showing that side. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below or email me. I'd be happy to explain things further if anything has confused you in this at all. So what I was explaining about my glue, if I used liquid Tombow, I can put some liquid Tombow on the bottom of that. I can layer my layer up, and then I can wiggle it around until I get it exactly where I need it. Now you get a couple of maybe 10 seconds to do that. If I used these runner tapes, I would have to make sure I line it up really, really well without it sitting on the card, and line it up really, really well that it's going to go down before I can actually stick it down. So hence why at the beginning, liquid glue is so much better to use and so much easier to use. If you find that you get the layers and you can layer them up pretty well, then by all means go ahead and use the tape runners or the tear and tape if that's what you'd like to do. But this is my personal choice. Okay, so that is more or less the basics of what I wanted to show you. Now, what I want to explain to you too, there's a couple of deals that Stampin' Up! Have that if you're brand new to stamping, I'll actually turn you back around so I can see you again. So, okay. All right. Now, if you're totally brand new to stamping and you have no supplies whatsoever, there is one way of getting some supplies and being able to stamp straight away, and you will have everything other than your liquid Tombow glue. But I just want to show you some of the deals that Stampin' Up! Have. Okay, so I've no idea why I can't flip my camera around. I can't flip it around. Once I've started videoing, I can't. Actually, you know what? I'll pause it and I'll see if I can flip it. No, sorry, still can't flip it. So I'm going to turn the camera back around again and just show you these couple of deals that Stampin' Up! Have. So I'll flick the camera back down again. Hopefully you can see that. That way. Sorry, I'm trying to look down underneath my phone so I can see whether you can see that. This here is what they call the Soft Sayings card kit. Now in this kit, you get everything that you need other than your liquid glue, everything that you need for $61 to create 20 cards, 20 gift cards, and you get a stamp set, you get all the materials, you get all the embellishments, you get a stamping spot, which is a little black tiny ink pad to be able to stamp your sayings and things on your cards. This is a basic beginner's kit. Now in this kit, I just want to explain what you get in this kit. It makes 20 cards, 2 of each of 10 designs. So there's 10 designs in the pack. You make 2 cards of each. So you'll be able to keep 10 and send 10 out, or you'll be able to send 20 out and just take some photos of what you've made so that you can keep a record of what you've made. And you get, so you get folded card sizes. They are 10.8 by 14 centimeters and 8.9 centimeters by 12.7 centimeters, 7.6 centimeters by 7.6 centimeters. So you get a couple of different size cards. You get envelopes to go with all the cards. It includes the stamp set, which in the stamp set, as you can see, you've got congratulations, thanks, happy birthday, just a note, love you lots, I think you are wonderful, hope your day is great, to my dear friend, I miss you, I'm happy you're in my life, and you get some flowers. So you get a pretty practical, pretty great stamp set to go with this card kit. You also get the coordinated envelopes. You'll get the die cut little accents to make your flowers and things. You'll get your stamp spot. You will get some baker's twine. You will get some washi tape, which to decorate things. You'll get Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, so you don't even have to buy the dimensionals. You get some dimensionals in it. And you also get a clear stamp block. And yeah, it just says complete using your choice of adhesive. So if it was me, I would just buy a bottle of liquid Tombow, $7. So for $67 in total, you'll be able to start stamping straight away, making cards straight away. They actually have a PDF sheet that comes with it that explains to you how you do the cards. And if you need any help, if you wanted to purchase this kit, I'll put a link below in the video. And if you need any help making this, or if you'd like me to make a video showing you how to do things, I'd be quite happy to do that too. So this is one, it's called the Soft Sayings Kit. There is another kit that we have. This one here is called Oh Happy Day. So in this kit, same thing. You get enough cardstock and embellishments to make 20 cards again. You get your stamp set. You get another clear block, you get an ink pad, a little stamping spot, all the embellishments, everything you need, to envelopes, everything. This one is $61 as well. So with the $7 Tombow, for $68, you will have enough to get you going straight away. Now, if you want to purchase either of these kits, I'll put the link below. I'll leave a host code as well, so please pop the host code, and I will be quite happy to send you out enough cardstock to make another 2 cards out of this kit as well, with some embellishments and things as well, as a freebie gift from me to you. So if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would be quite happy to do business with you. So please feel free to either jump onto my online store, or otherwise, drop me an email. I'll leave my email address below the video as well. So thank you very much for watching my first beginner basic lesson, number 1. And please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also my Facebook video page. My Facebook business page, and feel free to share the videos with your family and friends, because the more people that you get out there, you'll find that you'll end up getting a great group of friends all getting together and crafting together, and I can tell you can spend many hours and have a great time. Okay, so thank you all for watching. I'll flip you back up to me again. And if you haven't seen me before and you're watching this video and this is the first time, I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from the Northern Rivers area in New South Wales. I can only sell to Australian people. I can't sell to any other countries, but I would be quite happy if you wanted to purchase any of my items for you to buy from my online store. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, or subscribe to my Facebook business page so you don't miss the next video, because I'll be bringing probably a series of 10 of these videos to get you stamping from a beginner to a total professional. So within 10 lessons, I can tell you, I can have you there and you can be making beautiful professional cards like this one or this one that I shared in the video. Okay, thank you all for watching, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye for now.